something that someone has put effort into, and you don't compensate them fairly for it, you're doing the wrong thing. That said, as a creator, I don't focus too much about worrying about those people. So if I'm being asked to speak directly to them, I'll tell them, yes, I think you should pay for that, and yes, you're cheating the people that created it. But I want my focus to be on the people who are paying for it, because even people who pirate PDFs, if they are using them and bringing new people into the game and expanding the hobby, that hobby will grow, and that will give the people who want to pay for these things more opportunity to be aware of them and buy from them. So while obviously I'd prefer people not pirate my stuff, I'm not going to spend any time worrying about it. What I'm worried about is making the best product I can, make it as easy and usable for the end user as possible, and try and produce material that they like so much they're inclined to buy. And that's why at Super Genius we don't put complicated digital rights management or locking mechanisms on our PDF, because if you buy a PDF from us, we want it to be as easy for you to use as possible. If you want to strip out and copy text to put in your own computer, or even if you want to take some of that stuff because you want to write another product that's based off ours using the open game license, we want to make all of that as easy as possible. So while it's annoying that piracy exists, and I wish it didn't, I don't think it's going to stop the amazing market that is growing around the ability to produce these materials and have them sold electronically. And I'm going to focus all of my efforts on making the best products I can for the people who do want to pay for them. And I trust that market of people who want to buy my stuff will be big enough to create the level of support I need to keep doing this.
Fair enough. That is a very wise way of looking at it. I haven't honestly thought of it that way, but I appreciate your insight. It's really interesting.
Some of it is purely practical. If there was a really good way to stop piracy that did not inconvenience honest customers, I might well be interested in using it. But everything I've seen shows that piracy is going to happen. And no matter what we do, some people are going to take our products without paying for them. And the one thing I don't want to do is penalize the people who are paying for them by making things inconvenient for them just to try and prevent people from pirating. Because illegal downloads are going to exist. There's no way to avoid them.
Fair enough. There's a very wise way of looking at it. I think I should go easier on people who do that as well. Also, for the record, I think having low-priced PDFs doesn't hurt either. It really makes easier to purchase the original ones.
Yeah, that is another part of our marketing strategy. I mean, we figure if we give you a good product at a cheap, honest price, most people, I believe, are honest and want to recompense creators for things they enjoy. So we produce a lot of small, cheap PDFs, and you can just take the ones you want, and they honestly just don't cost that much.
That's true. That's true enough. Well, with all the projects that you're working on, among your Pathfinder Weekly products, the Dungeon Day website, if you had one thing to recommend for the people who are not familiar with your products here in our small community, what would that be?
Well, for people who are interested in running adventures, I really do recommend Dungeon Day. A lot of the material on that site, especially at the lower levels, was created by Monty Cook, who in my opinion is one of the greatest game designers of our generation. And everything that he produced for years is available to people who subscribe, as well as the newer material that is largely produced by Super Genius Games. But that would largely be for people who are wanting to run a game. For people who are just playing games, I would honestly recommend looking at, perhaps first, some of our free PDFs. We have a couple of just little expansions that are nothing but things like simple rules for alternate level benefits for different races that take different classes. So that if you're looking at, okay, what is the benefit of a elf that becomes like one of our classes, a vanguard, that we've got a PDF that lists that. And we have some cheap $2 PDFs that have different feats and different classes. I would recommend taking one of the things that just looks interesting to you. We've got a pretty good catalog at this point. Buy just one, take a look at it, and see if it is something that strikes your interest. And after you've got that first taste of what we produce, I think most people will be able to look through and be able to tell just from the titles what it is that we are making that they might be interested in. And then if you see that we're not making anything you're interested in, and you have access to the internet, get on Paizo's website and go to the compatible products from other publishers and start a thread and say, hey, I'd really like to see, whatever it is you're interested in. If you'd really like to see a character class that's based on throwing swords at people, whatever it is you're interested in, mention that, because we're not the only third-party publisher out there, and we all love getting feedback from our audience, because that is a great source of knowing what might be an interesting product for people.
Fair enough. We'll certainly let our little group around here know that you're always open to any kind of suggestions, which is one of the reasons why we have such respect for your company and you as a person, honestly. Even for people who are thousands of miles away, our opinion still matters. And as a consumer, there is no greater reward than that.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyone who is either buying our product or interested in buying our product, we want to hear your opinion. And however small you may feel your community is organized enough to do a phone call with someone who's thousands of miles away. I know people who are running games 200 miles away who haven't ever bothered to ask me if I want to do an interview. So frequently, organization and passion in a group seems very, very passionate will carry a group much farther than than being someplace where what they want to do is already common. I think role-playing is a passionate activity, and I think people that have passion for it are the best chance we have to introducing new people to the hobby.
Fair enough. That is very true, and I appreciate the support to some extent. That is very, very rewarding. Now, since you mentioned all the stuff that you're doing right now, having so many cool things in your plate, what will be the next big step for you personally and for SEG in the near future?
Well, Super Genius plans at the moment to largely continue doing what we're doing, and I'm planning to continue to be a big part of that. We are looking at the possibility of releasing a few more print products, which would be compilations of our PDF material. And I hope that's something we can get off the ground. Printing books. We have one print book now called The Adventurer's Handbook, which has done reasonably well. But the print market is a much more difficult market, and there's a lot more risk involved in it. So we've been looking at ways that we might be able to get this material to people who don't like electronic downloads. Some people just prefer the feel of paper, and I'm very sympathetic to that. So that's one thing we're looking at. Another thing that we are spending a fair amount of time examining is the possibility of doing some sort of subscription program, possibly with Dungeon a Day. So that instead of having to find our PDF every week and buy it, someone might be able to go to a site, again, we're thinking we might do this through Dungeon a Day, and sign up so that they get all the content we produce automatically. They would just pay us a monthly or quarterly or even annual cost, and every time we produce a product, it would automatically be available for them. That's something some fans have asked us about, and we're looking into it. It's not something I'm sure that we can do, but it's something I'm sure we'd like to do. And I've also been spending a lot of time looking at Hero Lab, which is the official character builder for Pathfinder. I think it's an amazing thing that Paizo is using an outside company to produce this piece of software, and that company allows anyone who produces game content for Pathfinder to make it available through Hero Lab. And that requires a level of programming skill that I personally do not have, but we're talking to some people about whether or not it might be possible to start taking some of our more popular products and making them available as data sets for Hero Lab, so that when you wanted to make a character or use a rule, it would do all the hard calculations for you. One of our classes, the War Master, already has a Hero Lab set available as a free download.
God, I'm such a huge fan of the War Master. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I just wanted to add that it's my favorite class in the entire freaking game. Just wanted to point that out.
I'm pleased to hear that. That class took a lot of work, and it took a lot of play testing. And it's based actually on a comment that one of the players made at my game. Again, that goes back to ideas coming from my own game. There was someone who wanted their character to be a tactical leader, a general, someone who can lead people into battle and be good at that. But that player is personally terrible at those things. He's not good at moving figures around on a board. He's not good at figuring out how to outflank someone or use the game advantages to his advantage. And of course, you don't have to know how to sing to play a bard. You don't have to know how to fence to be a fighter. You don't have to speak Latin to be a cleric, but you did kind of have to be good at the tactical part of the game to play a good war leader. And the War Master was specifically designed to allow someone who was perhaps not an expert at those things still play the character who can get up front and influence the entire course of a battle with game mechanical advantages instead of having to master exactly when you want to bull rush and exactly when you want to flank and exactly when you need to avoid an attack of opportunity. So I'm really glad to hear that people get use out of that. I'm very proud of that class, and it took a little longer to write than some of the things we produced.
It is a beautiful class. I can also say that we have, out of the 3 Pathfinder games that we run every week, we have one in each single game. People just really, really like that class.
Well, that's great to hear. And of course, I love hearing that people use stuff actually at a game. A lot of game rules, including some of ours, people buy them and read them literally just for the entertainment of reading them. They don't necessarily get used in a game. So it's always rewarding to hear someone say, "Hey, I've got one of those in my campaign."
Fair enough. I imagine it's a very rewarding experience for anyone who's so passionate about their work as you are. Well, before we start running out of time, I feel like in taking time that you could be using making really, really cool stuff for us. If you had one nugget of wisdom to give our small community, what would it be?
I think it would be to make sure everything you do, you're having fun. I think it's very, very impressive that you're actually forming a community and you're getting an online presence and you're organizing people, and I know that you're working with a convention. And sometimes people work too hard on their hobby and they stop having fun. So I'm impressed, and I encourage you to go forward with those with all the vigor and enthusiasm you can. Just make sure you're doing it to have fun, because you shouldn't have to sacrifice having a good time to try and bring what is supposed to be a fun activity to other people. And don't be afraid to reach out to people for help. I think you may all find there are a lot of people in the game industry, game designers and such, who would be very interested in talking to you and offering you advice and support. Enthusiasm is often much more impressive to professionals than happening to be in Los Angeles or someplace where you might more easily be able to physically meet up with people.
Fair enough.
You've got a very enthusiastic group, so I encourage you to hold on to that enthusiasm.
Oh, thank you very much for your time. This is really means a lot to us. This is the first interview that we had with an experienced game designer like you, and we want to spread it around here like fire as soon as we can, so people know that how serious we are about what we're trying to do around here, and that there's very cool people out there who are willing to support us in some way with at least some words of wisdom like you have given us today. So I'm going to ask you to do one thing, and if you're not cool with that, I completely understand, because it's funny. If you can say one little phrase in Spanish, that would be amazing.
All right, I will give it a go. It's going to be embarrassingly bad, so I ask everyone to bear with me. But, let's give it a try.
All right, let me see.
Peru es lo máximo.
Oh, chévere. All right, that's amazing. I'm very giddy about that right now. Well, Mr. Stephens, it has been a huge, huge pleasure. You'll probably hear from me in the Python forums again, because I usually make some kind of random comment about your products every week. I can't wait for next Tuesday to see what you have in the store for us. Thank you very, very, very much.
I believe next Tuesday we're supposed to be hanging out with Races of Wind and Wing. I don't think we've announced that to anyone yet, but it'll be another one in the set such as Hoof and Horn. But this time it'll present 3 new species who have the power to fly.
Holy crap. All right, I'll try not to tell anyone, but I'm very excited about that. I can't wait.
Well, I look forward to hearing from you again, Humberto. And again, thank you for giving us a call.
Well, thank you very much. Have a good day.
You too, sir.
Bye.